AI's 1984 is loosely based on George Orwell's 1984 premise. The government has assumed a totalitarian system, where personal freedom is non-existent. Big Brother is watching you. In the year 1984, the world is a place of unending conflict. The globe is dominated by a monolithic superstate known as Elysium, a vast empire led by the enigmatic figurehead, Sovereign Regulus. The populace of the once great nation of Albion now lives under Elysium's iron grip, and Albion itself has been rebranded as Sector Alpha. The omnipresent regime of the Sovereign is upheld by the Ministry of Control, which enforces a rigid system of surveillance, erasing and rewriting history through the Bureau of Falsification, and systematically stifling dissent. Amidst this dystopian world, a man named Adrian Vale works diligently as a mid-level clerk at the Bureau of Falsification. Adrian, despite outwardly conforming to the regime's expectations, secretly harbors a deep-seated resentment towards the Sovereign's rule and yearns for rebellion. To keep his thoughts private, he maintains a forbidden journal where he documents his true feelings and observations. Adrian Vale is a complex character shaped by his past and his inner conflict. Born in Albion before its rebranding as Sector Alpha, Adrian grew up with stories of freedom and democracy from his parents, who were both intellectuals and outspoken critics of the rising Elysium regime. His parents' disappearance under mysterious circumstances when he was just a teenager fueled his distrust and hatred for the Sovereign's rule. Now in his early 30s, Adrian is a meticulous and intelligent individual, traits that have made him a valuable asset to the Bureau of Falsification. His role involves altering historical records and fabricating news to align with the regime's narrative. Despite the moral conflict this causes him, Adrian uses his position to subtly subvert the regime's efforts, planting hidden messages and codes within the falsified documents in the hopes that one day, they might be discovered by like-minded rebels. Adrian's demeanor is reserved and cautious. He knows that any slip could lead to his capture by the Thought Police, a specialized unit within the Ministry of Control tasked with rooting out and eliminating dissent. He has few friends and keeps to himself, projecting the image of a loyal and unremarkable citizen. However, his eyes, always vigilant, miss nothing. Every encounter, every whispered rumor of resistance, is meticulously noted in his journal. Despite the constant fear of discovery, Adrian finds solace in small acts of rebellion. He helps clandestine resistance groups by providing them with altered documents and forged passes, essential for their underground operations. He is driven by a hope that, one day, the Sovereign's reign will be brought to an end and the true history of Albion will be restored. Adrian's life takes a turn when he begins a clandestine affair with Alara Quinn, a fellow employee at the Bureau. Their relationship, though passionate and risky, is a beacon of hope and defiance against the oppressive regime. Alara is a sharp-witted and fiercely independent woman in her late 20s. She works as an analyst within the Bureau of Falsification, where her job is to review and ensure the consistency of altered historical records. Unlike Adrian, Alara is more open about her discontent with the regime, though she knows well enough to keep her true feelings hidden from most of her colleagues. She has always been perceptive, quickly recognizing the subtle signs of Adrian's dissatisfaction with the Sovereign's rule. Their affair begins with stolen glances and brief, whispered conversations in the shadowed corners of the Bureau's sprawling complex. As they grow closer, their relationship deepens into something more profound than mere physical attraction. Alara becomes Adrian's confidant, the one person with whom he can share his dreams of a free Albion and his fears of being caught. She, in turn, reveals her own past and the losses she has suffered at the hands of the regime. One night, as they lay in the safety of Alara's small, dimly lit apartment, she whispers to Adrian about a covert resistance faction known as the Enclave. The Enclave is composed of former government officials, disillusioned military personnel, and ordinary citizens who have had enough of the Sovereign's tyranny. The Enclave operates in the shadows, using coded messages and covert meetings to avoid detection by the Ministry of Control. Alara tells Adrian that she has been a member of the Enclave for several years, working as a liaison between different cells within Sector Alpha. She shares stories of their small victories and the hope that one day they will overthrow the sovereign and restore freedom to the land. Adrian is initially hesitant, aware of the enormous risks involved, but Alara's passion and determination inspire him. Determined to make a difference, Adrian agrees to meet with the Enclave's leaders. The meeting is arranged to take place in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Sector Alpha, far from the prying eyes of the Ministry of Control. On the night of the meeting, Adrian and Alara leave separately to avoid arousing suspicion. The journey is tense, every shadow and sound amplifying the sense of danger. Inside the warehouse, Adrian meets Jonas Blackwood, the charismatic and shrewd leader of the Enclave. Jonas outlines the Enclave's plans to disrupt the regime's operations and spread their message of resistance. Adrian learns that his skills at the Bureau could be invaluable to the Enclave. His access to sensitive information and his ability to alter documents could aid in their efforts to sabotage the regime from within. Over the following months, Adrian becomes more deeply involved with the Enclave. He and Alara work together to smuggle vital information out of the Bureau, forge documents to aid the Enclave's operatives, and coordinate covert actions against the regime. Their relationship grows stronger, built on a foundation of trust and a shared vision of a better future. Adrian's double life becomes increasingly precarious. He must navigate the constant surveillance at the Bureau, the suspicion of his colleagues, and the ever-present threat of the Thought Police. Each day is a balancing act between maintaining his facade of loyalty and advancing the Enclave's cause. The stress and danger are immense, but the hope of liberation keeps him going. As the Enclave's actions begin to have a tangible impact on the regime, Adrian and Alara become more emboldened. They dream of the day when they can openly live their lives without fear, when Albion will be free from the sovereign's oppressive rule. Their love, born out of defiance and sustained by hope, becomes a symbol of the resistance itself, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of tyranny. With newfound hope, Adrian and Alara continue their work with the Enclave, coordinating efforts to undermine the regime. They use secure methods to communicate with their contacts, employing a series of dead drops scattered throughout Sector Alpha. These dead drops, often disguised as ordinary objects like hollowed-out books or concealed compartments in public benches, are used to exchange messages without arousing suspicion. Their activities become more daring, driven by the belief that they are making a real difference. Alara, who has been a part of the Enclave for several years, arranges a meeting with a contact named Marcus, someone she believes to be a trusted ally within the resistance. Marcus has promised crucial information about a new surveillance system that the Ministry of Control is planning to implement, a system that could severely hamper the Enclave's operations if not countered. The meeting is set to take place in an old, abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Sector Alpha, a location chosen for its isolation and the relative safety it offers from the prying eyes of the regime. On the day of the meeting, Adrian and Alara make their way separately to the warehouse, taking circuitous routes to avoid detection. The air is thick with tension as they approach, the dilapidated building looming like a silent sentinel in the twilight. Inside, the warehouse is dark and musty, the only light coming from a few broken windows high above. They wait in silence, every creak and rustle setting their nerves on edge. Finally, a figure emerges from the shadows, Marcus, the supposed Enclave operative. He speaks with conviction, detailing the plans for the new surveillance system and how the Enclave can sabotage it. However, just as Marcus outlines the final steps of their plan, Adrian notices something off, a subtle signal from Marcus that does not match the Enclave's standard code of conduct. Before he can react, the warehouse doors burst open, and armed agents of the Ministry of Control swarm in, their black uniforms stark against the dim light. It is a trap. Marcus, revealed to be a deep cover agent of the Ministry, smirks as the agents move in to apprehend Adrian and Alara. Chaos erupts. Alara, quick on her feet, grabs Adrian's hand and tries to pull him toward a hidden exit they had scouted earlier. They sprint through the narrow corridors, the sound of their pursuers' footsteps echoing behind them. As they reach the hidden exit, Alara shoves Adrian through the door first, but he stumbles and is grabbed by an agent. "Run!" Alara, Adrian shouts, struggling against his captor. Alara hesitates, torn between saving herself and trying to help Adrian, but he shouts again, urgency in his voice, go. You have to keep fighting. With tears in her eyes, Alara turns and disappears into the night, her heart heavy with the weight of leaving Adrian behind. She knows that her escape is their only hope now. She must warn the Enclave of the Ministry's infiltration and continue their fight for freedom. Adrian is dragged back into the warehouse, where Marcus stands waiting, his expression triumphant. Did you really think you could outsmart us? Marcus sneers. Adrian, despite the fear and pain coursing through him, meets Marcus's gaze with unwavering defiance. As he is hauled away by the agents, Adrian holds on to the hope that Alara will survive and carry on their mission. He knows that the fight is far from over and that even in captivity, his spirit remains unbroken. The Sovereign's regime may have captured his body, but they will never capture his will to resist. Adrian is subjected to relentless physical and psychological torture. The Ministry of Control employs every method at their disposal to break him, from brutal beatings to prolonged sensory deprivation and psychological manipulation. Days blur into nights in his windowless cell, each moment a harrowing ordeal designed to strip away his resolve. They push Adrian to his limits, exploiting his deepest fears and insecurities. He is shown fabricated evidence of Alara's capture and death, bombarded with images and sounds meant to convince him that all hope is lost. Exhausted and delirious, Adrian begins to lose his grip on reality. The interrogators promise him relief and an end to the suffering if he cooperates. They tell him that by giving up the Enclave, he can save what remains of the resistance and spare others from his fate. Broken and desperate, Adrian finally cracks. He divulges everything he knows about the Enclave, their hideouts, operations, and members, including Alara. The Ministry's agents watch with satisfaction as Adrian, now a shadow of his former self, becomes a pawn in the game. They reassure him that his cooperation will lead to leniency, manipulating him into believing that he is serving a greater good. Once they have extracted all the information they need, Adrian is left in a state of deep remorse and despair. His spirit, once resilient and defiant, is now subdued. The Ministry, having achieved their objective, releases Adrian from the immediate torment, leaving him in a state of emotional and psychological ruin. Meanwhile, Alara manages to evade capture and goes into hiding. Using her network of contacts, she reaches out to the Enclave and warns them of Marcus' betrayal and Adrian's capture. The news sends shockwaves through the resistance. The loss of Adrian and the potential compromise of their operations is a devastating blow. However, Alara is adamant about rescuing Adrian, refusing to believe that he has truly turned against them of his own free will. The leaders of the Enclave, including Jonas Blackwood, are wary but understand the importance of rescuing Adrian, both for the valuable information he possesses and for the morale of the resistance. They devise a plan to intercept the Ministry's forces and rescue Adrian before he can lead him to the Enclave's heart. Alara volunteers to lead the rescue mission, driven by her love for Adrian and her unyielding belief in their cause. She assembles a team of the Enclave's best operatives and sets out to find Adrian, knowing that time is of the essence. The mission is fraught with danger. The Ministry's forces are formidable, and the element of surprise is crucial. As Alara and her team move through the shadows of Sector Alpha, they prepare for the inevitable confrontation. Alara's mind races with thoughts of Adrian, torn between hope and fear for what she might find. She knows that the man she loves may have been changed by his ordeal, but she refuses to abandon him. The stage is set for a dramatic showdown. The Enclave's future hangs in the balance, and Alara's determination to save Adrian will be tested like never before. As they close in on the Ministry's forces, she steels herself for the battle ahead, ready to face whatever it takes to bring Adrian back and continue their fight for freedom. Alara and her team reach the building where Adrian is being held. The location is a heavily guarded, nondescript facility on the outskirts of Sector Alpha, but Alara's knowledge of the area's layouts and her team's stealth skills allow them to bypass the external security measures. They move silently through the shadows, avoiding patrols and surveillance cameras with practiced precision. As they infiltrate the building, they encounter minimal resistance. The facility's internal security is lax, a sign that the ministry is confident in their control. The team navigates the dark, labyrinthine corridors, following Alara's lead. Her heart pounds with a mix of anxiety and hope as they approach the area where Adrian is held. When they finally reach the cell where Adrian is imprisoned, Alara's breath catches in her throat. Adrian is slumped against the wall, his face obscured by the dim light filtering through the small window in the door. Alara signals for her team to stand by and quietly opens the cell door. "Adrian," she whispers urgently, stepping inside. "We're here to get you out. You have to come with us." Adrian remains motionless, his back turned to her. The sight of him, once a symbol of resistance and hope, now a broken figure in chains, is almost too much for Alara to bear. She approaches him cautiously, her heart aching with the desperate hope that he has not completely succumbed to the ministry's methods. As she moves closer, Adrian's head turns slightly, and Alara's eyes lock onto his. His gaze is vacant, lifeless, as if all emotion has been drained from him. Alara's heart sinks further as she realizes that something is terribly wrong. Suddenly, Adrian's hand moves with unsettling calmness. With a barely audible click, he presses a concealed mechanism, a discreet button embedded in the wall, disguised as a pen resting on a small ledge. The sound is almost imperceptible, but it triggers a hidden alarm system. Red lights flash, and the doors to the cell slam shut with a deafening clang, trapping Alara and her team inside. A sudden hiss fills the air, and a faint, acrid smell begins to permeate the chamber. Gas begins to seep into the room, its presence subtle at first but quickly growing more potent. Alara's team reacts with alarm, their faces contorting with confusion and fear. They try to find the source of the gas and escape, but the dense, noxious fumes are overwhelming. The gas is designed to incapacitate quickly, and within moments, the team's breaths become shallow and labored. Alara struggles to stay conscious, her vision blurring as she gasps for air. The room seems to spin, and her strength wanes. The oppressive atmosphere presses down on her, making each breath feel like an effort. Her companions fall one by one, their movements growing slower and more disjointed. As consciousness begins to slip away, Alara's eyes lock onto Adrian one last time. The man who once fought alongside them now stands as a symbol of their defeat. Adrian looks at her with that same cold, vacant expression, and with a chilling calmness, he speaks. "We're always watching." The words hang in the air, a final, haunting reminder of the omnipresence of the ministry's control. The gas continues to cloud the chamber, and Alara's world fades to darkness as she succumbs to the effects. In the dim, suffocating haze of the gas, the chamber falls silent, the only sound the steady hiss of the gas filling the room. Alara and her team are left in the throes of unconsciousness, their hopes of rescuing Adrian and striking a blow against the ministry now extinguished. In the end, Adrian Vale's resistance crumbles. The Ministry of Control's grip tightens around Sector Alpha, and the Enclave, once a beacon of hope and defiance, is crushed beneath the regime's overwhelming power. The once vibrant network of resistance is dismantled, its members captured, tortured, or eliminated. The dream of rebellion, which had seemed so tangible and close, dissolves into the cold, unyielding reality of Elysium's dominance. Adrian's own transformation is complete. Once a passionate fighter against the oppressive regime, he is now a shell of his former self. The intense physical and psychological torment he endured has left deep scars, but they have also stripped him of his former identity and convictions. The man who once sought freedom now stands on the other side of the battlefield, having fully embraced the ideology he once despised. Adrian finds himself in the presence of Sovereign Regulus, the enigmatic figurehead of the regime. The Sovereign's charisma and the ruthless efficiency of the ministry have left an indelible mark on Adrian. In a twisted turn of fate, the man who was once a symbol of defiance now finds solace and purpose in unwavering devotion to Regulus. The love he once harbored for Alara and the dreams of rebellion that fueled his every action fade into obscurity, replaced by an all-consuming loyalty to the sovereign. As Adrian stands before Regulus, he feels a perverse sense of fulfillment. The fear and suffering he once endured have been replaced by a sense of belonging and acceptance within the regime's powerful structure. His earlier resistance is now a distant memory, overshadowed by the indoctrination and compliance that have come to define his existence. He is transformed into a fervent supporter of the regime, his every action and thought aligned with the sovereign's vision. Adrian's new role is one of authority within the ministry, a testament to his complete integration into the system he once fought against. His once strong will and rebellious spirit have been extinguished, replaced by a cold, calculated allegiance to the omnipresent sovereign. In the echoing halls of Elysium's grand palace, where the walls are adorned with the visage of sovereign Regulus, Adrian stands as a loyal servant, his eyes devoid of the fire that once drove him. The ideals of freedom and rebellion are now relics of a past life, buried beneath the weight of his newfound devotion. The stark contrast between the man he was and the man he has become is a chilling reminder of the regime's power to reshape identities and crush dissent. Adrian Vale's journey from a symbol of resistance to a zealous supporter of tyranny is complete, his former life now a mere shadow lost to the unyielding embrace of Elysium's control. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to leave a like, maybe even subscribe, and comment down below what premise you'd like to see AI interpret into a new story. As always, thank you for watching.